Something's of the utmost importance about PlayStation losing its grip on third-party exclusivity. It's the fact that developers are now looking for ways for them to be able to make money. The challenge also is this is at a time where PlayStation has pretty much admitted that Xbox has leapfrogged over them according to their internal documents, where they realize that Game Pass and a lot of what Xbox has, including the Activision value, has pretty much put them behind their competition. This is what it is that they said. Now, there's something very important, and we have to point out the different shifts happening. The one of utmost, I would say, importance, or I guess I'll say that's a little bit more popular because it's a big publisher, is the one with Square Enix. You guys remember that the creator of Final Fantasy, or I guess one of the, creative directors in the Final Fantasy pipeline, has pretty much come out to say that they're trying to release their other games that are locked behind exclusives on Xbox and PC. They also have changed their policy that they're going to be releasing more titles. They're going to increase the amount of titles releasing simultaneously on each platform. Now, this doesn't mean that they're going to throw everything. They're going to still try to leverage, exclusivity deals that may come. So they're very careful in their wording. I'm not, going to say, well, they're going to now put all their games day one. No. For the right fee, they're still signaling that they can still be bought. There are also other examples like Parrot Abyss's Crimson Desert, where the developers and the publisher there said, no, we prefer to actually publish ourselves. And even the conversation spanned as far as Stellar Blade, where the developers said that in the case of, Shift Up's own case, they didn't have, or I guess I would say they didn't have maybe the knowledge to go ahead and even, publish their game themselves. Something that a lot of folk aren't paying attention to is PlayStation went third-party money hacking, but then realized that you as the publisher actually have to have games for your audience. And PlayStation used to have, a decent number of games in the PS4 era, but in the PS5 era, even though it seemed like they had pretty much blazed past Xbox, Xbox went on a shopping spree because that was and has always been the most important thing. Games. Gamers aren't too, in my opinion anyways, from what I've seen, this PC console conversation, trying to talk to gamers about moving to PC and such, most gamers are not too interested in, a lot of what the platform offers in terms of hardware and performance. That's not really what a lot of gamers are actually, interested in. What they're interested in is games. And PlayStation understood this. They still do understand that, but they were using the third-party games to hedge themselves to make their library look like it was bigger. They'll pretty much block the games from going to Xbox and then make their own, offering look much bigger. And Xbox, who misunderstood this for the past generation, or maybe did not prioritize this, about destroyed itself from within. So in order for them to make up, they went ahead and just pretty much bought entire publishers to make up for this. And then not only that, it now became a thing of games were just not necessarily enough. They went ahead and dumped them on a service where even though PlayStation has PlayStation, Plus, Premium, and Essential, it still wasn't enough. The regular subscription model was not enough. Xbox realized that they had to take it one step further, and then they put Game Pass out there for gamers to be able to not only get access to games, but get access to Xbox games day one on a subscription service. This is the edge that they pretty much, I wouldn't say edge, I think I'll call it basically the trail that they blaze past PlayStation. And PlayStation understands that this model is elusive for them. They understand that this model is unsustainable to them, and they have to find other ways to to basically mitigate this. I think the reason you're also seeing the PS5 Pro come out at the $700 price point is because they said this: Sony Impact premium sales is the central approach. That's why you're getting a $700 console. That's also why they said here that their subscription is the elusive perfect game subscription. They understand that players will be expecting free best-in-class games, and it creates an unsustainable model for them. They don't have the money to pull it off, so they're really in a bind. What's even crazier is even the games that they may have locked down that are third-party games that they even published, those games face the risk of getting pulled away from PlayStation by some measure. And one example that people are not really talking about is one that I made a video of, even though at first I wrongly assumed that PlayStation was publishing this game on Xbox, but it was a game that PlayStation had published in the past to PlayStation and to PC. It was actually a PlayStation published game, and you could find it on Steam under PlayStation PC lineup, and that was Predator Hunting Grounds. This year, the developers found a way to get the publishing rights back from PlayStation and publish the game on Xbox, which is interesting because we know that PlayStation would hate to publish a game on Xbox, even though they will publish a game on Nintendo, which is weird, but they don't want to publish a game, on Xbox. They're publishing, by the way, if you're wondering, Lego Horizon Adventures is PlayStation publishing a game on Nintendo. They've maintained a very hostile position to Xbox, so they'll either let a third-party publisher do something like that, like in the case of MLB The Show, it's MLB that is the publisher, which is funny. I think MLB may have had to actually take their gaming arm and kind of like structure them to be a publisher to then publish the game on the Xbox. But this move with IllFonic is actually very interesting because I think a game like Stellar Blade, eventually after it gets, so many in terms of exposure, will probably end up like the Sifu or the IllFonic thing, which is these developers that did Hunting Grounds, where the developers are going to come around and say, would shift up and say, hey, we want the publishing right for our game, Stellar Blade. And I think you're going to probably see a game like Stellar Blade make its way to the Xbox platform just because these developers and their own, parent companies realize that there's money to be made. The same money that is to be made that even Square Enix themselves realizes. So right now, what I think is PlayStation's most significant pillar in being able to provide the most important commodity in a gaming platform, which is games, is actually not just being eroded, but for the most part, being forgotten, being a forgotten practice at the end of the day. Like, just think about the number that we've seen this year. And I cited Square Enix. I cited IllFonic pretty much requesting the publishing rights. So this is actually very interesting because this is a publisher that could not, or probably decided to take on the publishing deal with PlayStation. Maybe they needed an entry, maybe they needed the money or whatever it is. But going back to renegotiate that they get the, Predator license back. Then you have Square Enix who's signaling, okay, this is what we want to do. And then you have Pearl Abyss also going that route. Then you have Koei Tecmo also going that route. Like, if you scroll down, this Jez Corden's article, what's crazy is at the end of the article, they pretty much suggest a second article here, which is pretty much the legendary JRPG franchise, which is called Atelier Yumiya. The Alchemist of Memories and Envision Land has opened up its pre-orders for consoles and PC. The game is coming to Xbox for the very first time. That's not just one case now, because Square Enix was the previous case. It's 4 cases of developers that were in cahoots with PlayStation. I don't know many others. Capcom, on the other hand, I don't think Capcom is going to be bothered really unless in a situation where PlayStation funds the development of the game. That's where I see Capcom probably going into business with them, but I doubt Capcom would take that route. And if you even think about it, just recently, Capcom, just put out their report that they had sold this year. This is crazy. They had sold this year more games on PC than they had both consoles combined. That to me was very interesting. This is Hazard, Gaming, that Dragon of Dojima, who said Capcom has sold more units on PC in the first half of fiscal year 2025 than on Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox combined. Compared to previous fiscal year, PC digital sales have grown from 48% to 54%. So it seems that margin was actually smaller on the console combination compared to PC. So I don't see the world where PlayStation can rely on that pillar anymore. It's, like I said, a forgotten practice, and they now need to figure out what's going on. It makes more sense now why they want to make their own live service games. And again, that whole conversation we really have to talk about very soon. So what I want to do is I want to take time to focus on their new upcoming live service games so that we can see how those are going to land and who they're going to probably compete with if they can really get PlayStation, to where it is that they need to be. Man, PlayStation really needs to lean into its third-party side to basically hold off. They need to take the same approach that Xbox took, and we'll talk about that in another video. So thanks so much for watching the video. Appreciate you guys' time and audience. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.